I've argued on this channel that the Trump and Russia investigation is nonsense. It was started with this idea under Hillary Clinton, where she didn't want to take ownership for the loss and immediately starts sending it to people, her sources in the media, to push it that she didn't lose on her own merit, she lost because of Trump and Russia. Now, that said, regardless of how it started, regardless of the legitimacy of the case that they're making, regardless of whether or not a link between Trump and Russia had ever been established, even in the people that Mueller has indicted, one woman with Facebook and Twitter ads is pretty embarrassing if you ask me, but whatever. No link between Trump and Russia on this stuff. Now, there's all sorts of stuff that people bring up that are smoke, but no fire has ever been established between those things. And even in the email case, or even in what they found for Facebook and Twitter ads, it was going both ways. And their argument is just so chaos. But beyond that point, whether or not there's legitimacy to it or not, when Donald Trump fired Comey and they brought in Mueller, there was a different tint to this. It was more severity to this. He was going for his head. I made this argument before the HA. Doing so, whether or not it was just to fire Comey was almost irrelevant to the process. From a political standpoint, the person who's in there now is going for his head. This becomes that much more dangerous now that Democrats have taken the House, because now they have subpoena power. And even Kavanaugh, there's an article that come out that they're going to use that subpoena power to investigate Kavanaugh. But even more so, they're going to use that subpoena power to investigate Trump. This becomes more dangerous. Bernie Sanders issues a stern warning to Trump. Strongly worded. President Trump must allow Special Counsel Robert Mueller's investigation to continue unimpeded. Any attempt by the President or Justice Department to interfere with the Mueller probe would be an obstruction of justice and an impeachable offense. Now the question becomes, does he have enough Republicans in order to back that claim up? Meaning if Donald Trump comes out there and his person fires Mueller or constrains Mueller in any particular way, do they have the bullets in that gun to back up what Bernie Sanders is putting out here? I'm almost inclined to say no, but maybe. Take a look at this. That's beyond Donald Trump. This is Lindsey Graham, Republican. This is back in 2017.
Be no confirmation hearing for a new Attorney General in 2017. If Jeff Sessions is fired, there will be wholly held to pay. The chairman of the Judiciary Committee sent a pretty chilling tweet yesterday. There will be no confirmation hearing for a new Attorney General in 2017. If Jeff Sessions is fired, there will be wholly held to pay. Any effort to go after Mueller could be the beginning of the end of the Trump presidency, unless Mueller did something wrong. Right now, I have no reason to believe that Mueller is compromised. If you got reason to believe he is compromised and shouldn't be serving as special counsel, let me know.
Lindsey Graham, Republican, echoing the same terms that Bernie Sanders is echoing. If Donald Trump fires Jeff Sessions, there will be wholly held to pay, and if he goes after Mueller, that will maybe the beginning of the end of the Trump presidency. Now here's the thing. If Donald Trump is somewhat constrained here, whether or not he believes that the Mueller investigation has legitimacy to it is almost irrelevant. The politics demand a certain degree of complicity. Now, he can try his luck. He can deal with the Republicans that are in office in the Senate to see if there's enough of them to back him up on this. But let's be very clear. This has gotten more dangerous, and the politics on this has become far more sharp. they can be going for his head. Now, here's a catch. Here's a caveat. Once Mueller comes up with his findings, they're given to the Justice Department. They're not given to the public. They're not given to the press. They're not given to all of these people to see. It becomes the Justice Department determination to choose whether or not they're going to prosecute charges. And it just so happened that is now in the hands of somebody who thought the Mueller case was a witch hunt to begin with. He doesn't have to fire Mueller. The very act of firing Jeff Sessions and putting in somebody who is, let's say, a skeptic on the whole Russia stuff, to some degree, constrains what comes out. At least that's my contention. Let's take a look at more, because Trump responds to this. Well, not responds, but Trump makes a point about this. Let's see. Justice Department promptly released a statement saying that Matthew Whitaker would serve as the acting attorney general, including taking oversight of the Mueller probe. Now, the reason is Jeff Sessions recused himself. So Rod Rosenstein took over the Mueller probe. Well, now that there's an acting attorney general that's in that spot, if he's not going to recuse himself, that acting attorney general takes over the Mueller probe, including taking oversight over Mueller probe and control, which was given to Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein, when Sessions recused himself because of his role in the Trump campaign. During the press conference Wednesday, before Sessions' resignation was announced, Trump said he had no intention to end the Mueller investigation into 2016 Russian interference and any possible coordination with the Trump campaign. I could fire everybody right now, but I don't want to stop it because politically, I don't like stopping it. That makes absolutely no sense. That makes zero sense. I let it just go on, he added. They're wasting a lot of money, but I let it go on because I don't want to do that. It's a disgrace, frankly, and it's an embarrassment to our country. It is. Because, frankly, the thing that interceded in the election was far closer to home. It's called the Republican Party and their ability to shave off votes, particularly with the guy that Donald Trump may actually tap to be the new Attorney General, Chris Kobach. Maybe. At least that's what the reports are. You don't have to go all the way to Russia. And if you really wanted to make a case for this, you only need to look as far as the various states that were shaving off voters. Republicans have ripped the probe as politically motivated, but have urged Trump not to put an end to it before Mueller makes his conclusion known, because it would trap them into a certain thing. The argument becomes relatively straightforward. Why is the President of the United States trying to stop an investigation? Who are they trying to hide? You must understand, the public itself doesn't necessarily follow this stuff with a fine-tooth comb. What they see is the President of the United States fired the Attorney General. That's what they see. That's what everyone screams. And if they fired the Attorney General, why did he fire the Attorney General? They're not going to get into the details of why. They're just going to see or make it look like the President is trying to evade something, is trying to escape something. There's something that the President doesn't want the public to know. There's something that the President doesn't want the Attorney General to find. What is the President trying to hide? The argument makes itself. The reality of this is irrelevant. That's what I'm trying to get across. The politics compels a certain behavior. Now, you can try to, skate uphill, skate up that icy climb uphill. But if the Republican Party, if your own party is saying, bend the knee, bow down, you might want to bow down and not fire Mueller and let Mueller do his thing. And that said, again, the fact that the Trump guy, or the guy, the Trump is putting somebody in that's associated with him and that's accountable to him, may be enough. We'll see. But I would say the politics of this is getting dangerous for Trump, especially with Democrats holding the House. How could Democrats win the House? Are you serious? Are you serious? Poor old Bernie, he's gone over to Russia. No, he's not. Well, ish. You're in politics. Politics oftentimes is not necessarily about right or wrong. It's about expressing your political will. There should be a moral compass to this stuff, like ethics. So don't misunderstand me. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying what actually takes place when political people are doing what they do. The point of politics is to win. Blunt force terms, win. That's the way the Republican Party does politics. If the guy gets a gun, if you bring a knife to the gunfight, you're going to get shot. I guess my point is, Bernie Sanders has a situation where the President of the United States has an investigation that is dogging him. Now, the public doesn't full-on care about this, but the public would care to some degree if it looks like the president was trying to evade or had something to hide, if he looked guilty, which he would look guilty if he fired Mueller or went through the person fired Mueller. Now, again, the reality of this is irrelevant to the process. What titrates out to the public? What does the public actually end up believing? Not necessarily what's real. I actually believe Donald Trump on this, that this is a witch hunt. But what I think about this is irrelevant. There's an investigation. And his own party is telling him not to hit that lever. That is a hot stove. Don't touch that stove. Because at the end of the day, they know that when those Republicans run again, that if they turn around and set themselves on fire to protect Donald Trump, they may get burned. And between them and Trump, they're going to allow him to get burned, not themselves. Bernie Sanders, who's running potentially in the presidential election, will be running up against that president. And between running up against a president that has a spotless record versus running against one that looks utterly corrupt and utterly bankrupt in the way that the person got elected, I'm saying looks this way. Which would you prefer to run? Are your ethics gonna come out and say, wait a minute, this thing with Donald Trump is not real and the Russia didn't do anything about it and the more, at home? Or are you going to say the president needs to let that process play out? Because that process is going to take X amount of time to play out. Politics compels, it plays itself. No one in their right mind, no politician in their right mind of an opposing party is going to step in and defend Donald Trump on this. They're going to do exactly what Sanders is doing. So, I will leave it at that. Alright guys, if you enjoy the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe. And you can always support through PayPal or Patreon. Thanks all.